Hey everyone, so today I wanted to talk to you about moving abroad without really having approval or I guess support from family members. And this is something that I definitely experienced when I was planning to come here. Now usually I'm not really one for oversharing things online, but I really do feel like sharing with you my experience would help those of you who are going through the same thing or something similar. Okay, where to start? Okay, I'll start from the beginning. Basically, when I had decided to come here, like I decided a long time ago, probably when I was around 17 or so, yeah, like 17, 18, I really knew that I wanted to come to Asia to teach. A friend of mine had told me about her brother who was like teaching abroad, and it's just something that just sounded so amazing to me. So I always had that in the back of my mind that when I graduated from university, I really wanted to come to Asia and teach. I don't know why, it's just something that compelled me to do it. So it's like a goal that I always just wanted to achieve. I finished university and I was free to do whatever I wanted. I'm not married, I'm single, I don't have any kids, and I don't really have any proper responsibility. So I can up and leave and go to anywhere. So I started the wheels in motion to apply and come to Korea. And I informed my mother about this, and she was so against it, like completely and utterly. Like I applied to Epic. When did I apply? Basically, the time I applied, I should have been here 6 months before I actually got here, because that's the time I applied to come. But she has stressed me out. Like there was other factors, but my mum has stressed me out so much about coming here that I actually pulled out of the application process. Like I messaged the coordinator, no, at the time I went with the recruiter, and I messaged them and I told them that I didn't want to go any further with my application. And even though I had passed the interview and everything, I hadn't sent in any documents and stuff like that. So it was at a stage where it was okay for me to cancel my application. But she had just kind of made it so stressful, and she every single time she would like we would get into such huge arguments about my going, and it just really stressed me out so much. On the flip side, I had my friends. My friends were so supportive of me going, and they knew that it was something that I'd always wanted to do, because I've always talked about it. I always talked about going. So they were really supportive about it. And my siblings, I have like other siblings, but I only really told my sister, so she knew, and she was like really like supportive of me. And I told my dad, and he was more rational. He was like, okay, give me the information and we will talk about it. But it was more like, give me the information and I will tell you whether or not I approve, kind of thing. But in my eyes, it was always, well, I'm going to go whether or not anybody really wants me to. But my dad wasn't as like vocal about his irritation with my going. It was more from my mother, and I'm telling you, it was like almost every day we were arguing about my going. And she was basically like, I don't know if you have African parents who really want to enforce their views on you. She was like threatening to disown me and all these things. Like I'm telling you, it was really serious. It stressed me out so much. So yeah, I pulled out of the initial application process. So I think she thought she'd won, because I kind of told her, okay, I stopped applying, and I kind of took that time out to rethink about what I wanted to do and just rethink everything. And like it just had me doubting myself, which kind of sucks thinking back. Looking back on it now, I don't know, it's something that I wanted to do for so long, and then suddenly I'm starting to like doubt myself. So yeah, I started doubting myself, and I started thinking things through. But I was like, okay, let me just use this time as breathing space, and I will reapply again without all the stress. So I can't remember how many months passed, probably around, I want to say about 3-4 months passed, and I carried on, you know, doing what I had a part-time job at the time, and I was like saving money. I still carried on saving money to come to Korea, and then I started my application process again. This time, however, I did not tell my mum. it was really bad. I didn't tell my mum that I was applying again, and I just did the application. I passed. Like, I was so secretive about it. I tried to get the interview scheduled at a time that I knew she wasn't going to be at home, and like, because let me tell you, the first interview I had, like in my house the internet's really bad, and the only place I could go to have like good internet was in the kitchen area, and well, for Skype anyway. And my mum, she had like, that was the time she wanted to make breakfast. She knew, like, she kind of pretended like she supported me, but I felt like at some turns she was trying to sabotage me, because she would, like, during the interview she came to the kitchen, she was making so much noise, like clanging everything, and I was like, oh my gosh. She did that. And then when I had to send off for the application for my criminal background check, I don't even know why I trusted her, but I still don't know. I don't even know if it was her or not, but like, she was like, oh, I'll do it for you. And I waited like 3 weeks, and I was like, I've heard nothing. So I messaged them, they're like, we didn't get your application. And I called her, she's like, well, I don't know, I posted it. So I shouldn't have trusted her. So I really do feel like she kind of sabotaged me, and she kind of tried to lull me into a false sense of security. So yeah, that was bad on my part. So this time around, as you can understand why I was very secretive the second time round. So I didn't tell her about my interview. I passed the interview. I didn't tell her about the documents. I arranged for UPS. This is so backhanded, but whatever. I arranged for UPS to come at a time where I knew she wasn't going to be at home, and like, so everything was set. And I didn't tell her that I had reapplied until I pretty much got confirmation of everything. And like, let me tell you, shit hit the fan. Like, oh my gosh. But the thing was, the stress from the first time round when I applied, because it was during the application time, it was just so stressful. But because I'd done it before, once before, this time round I knew the process. I kind of knew how long to wait for things, so it wasn't as stressful. Definitely wasn't as stressful applying the second time round, and I went direct without a recruiter and all that stuff. So I didn't tell her until all the stressful things were out of the way. So yeah, it got heated, and she was completely against everything. And I don't know if it's all African people that do this, but I felt like she tried to have an intervention as well. Like, one of my aunts came over to visit, and not from Nigeria or anything, but my aunt just like came to our house one day, and like, she was discussing with me, because like, discussing things and asking me all these questions, and she was against it as well. I feel like someone was feeding her things, trying to make it worse as well. So I don't know. So my aunt came over, and she was like trying to dissuade me from going and all this stuff. So I dug my heels in, and I was like, this time, you know, because when you sit and think about it, if you set your mind to something and it's something that you've always dreamed of doing, and then you let people dissuade you from doing it, you will have so much regret. Like, I was thinking, if I don't go, how will I feel in like 10-20 years time? I'll have so many what ifs. What if I did this? And so I couldn't live life with all those regrets and what ifs. I'm young, I don't have any responsibilities. When I'm like 10 years time, hopefully I'm like married with kids, but I'm not gonna have that opportunity to come here and do it. So I might as well do it now, where I have no responsibility at all. And I didn't want to think about, like, what if just wasn't on the agenda. It was not at all. So yeah, I dug my heels in this time, and I was like, I'm not changing my mind. I want to go, and it's my decision. And she was like, if you go, then I'm disowning you and all this stuff, and I'll never speaking to you again. And like, I got heated, and I was like, if I go, I'm not staying 1 year, I'm gonna stay for like 3 years. I mean, now when I look back on it, I'm staying for my second year. It's quite funny. But yeah, that was my threat. Like, I'm staying for 3 years, I don't care. It's stuff to make her angry, and you say things in the heat of the moment, really. So that was my threat to her. So yeah, I did a lot of things without telling her. Like, I booked my flight, so she was livid about that. And she was like, why didn't you tell me? You should have told me, like, it's something that we should discuss. But it wasn't, every time she said discuss, I knew what it meant. It doesn't mean discuss, it means I'm telling you this now and that's how it should be. And then you're probably like, oh my gosh, you're like, at the time, how old was I when I applied? I think I was 23. Yes, 23 when I applied. And you're probably like, oh, you're an adult and stuff, but like African parents, you can be 75 years old. Your parents, like, they will still have, they feel like some, well, not all African parents, but a lot of parents, as long as they're your parent, they have a right to you and to tell you what to do. So yeah, I didn't really tell her when I booked my flight and all this stuff. Even with a week to my flight, she was kind of still giving me stress, and she was telling me like, cancel your ticket, I will give you the money back for your ticket, because I paid for everything myself. I funded everything, so I saved up and I worked really hard and I used my own money. I didn't ask for any money, because obviously if your parents aren't supporting you, then they're not going to give you money for something that they don't approve of. So she was like, I will give you the money and all this stuff, and I was like, that's not what it is for me. So I kind of still I stood my ground and I just kind of carried on going. So I will tell you, the moment she came round was the night before my flight to go. So she comes to me, and the night before I'm gonna fly, she comes to my room and I'm all packed up, everything's packed up, and she asked me, so is this something that you really want to do? And I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do. So we talked, and then she said, okay, fine, I will drive you to the airport, because I was going to take a taxi. So she said, I will drive you to the airport, and it was nice. Like at first I was like, is she really like drive me somewhere? Like I'm gonna end up in some random place while my flight goes. But so yeah, I let her drive me to the airport. So I did end up at Heathrow, and we said our goodbyes and stuff. And even at Heathrow, she was like, it was nice. At Heathrow, she was like, you know, have fun, and maybe we will even try and visit you. Like she had this 360, like this complete, or 180, not 360, because she would end up at the same place. She had this complete 180, and I feel like maybe someone or a relative or family friend like talked to her about it, because it was like she completely changed her mind about it. And it was nice. So like after a while, when I got here and she, you know, told me keep in touch and let me know what you're up to. Like I speak to her all the time now. And well, not like I didn't before, but it kind of put a strain on our relationship. So when I got here and I was like settled in my apartment, and she asked me like, how was it here? And I was like, you know what, I'm really happy, and she's happy for me, which just makes everything worthwhile. Because I feel like if I gave up, then she wouldn't really know how much it meant to me. Like then it proves that it's something that's not important if you don't stand your ground for it. So now, like when I was kind of worried about telling her that I was going to re-sign my contract, because kind of I knew 6 months in that I wanted to stay for another year, and I was really worried about telling her. But I had told my school, I actually told my school, and then I told her, I was like, you know, I got her on the phone and I was like, I'm gonna stay another year. And she was like, I knew you would. So there wasn't any fuss, because she knew how happy I was. When we would talk, I would tell her, I really love living here, I'm enjoying life right now, and I'm just happy. I'm not really stressed. I don't have any real stress here. It's just, I just enjoying myself. So she was very supportive about me staying another year. And it's just so strange, the person who she was when I was initially applying, to someone who completely accepted my decision. This is probably a really long video, but I really wanted, like, it's one that has been on my mind to make for a long time, because I'm sure like not everyone has that support system of their family. And even though I had my friends who were completely behind what I wanted to do, it's still difficult if your family don't support what you're doing. So my mum finally coming around and her not disowning me was nice at the end. So it makes coming here and living life here a lot nicer, knowing that like I can go home and I'm not like destitute, like I'm not thrown out of the house or whatever. But at the end of the day, your parents want what's best for you, your family want what's best for you, and once they know how happy you are with what you've decided to do, then I feel like they would be more behind you. I'm pretty sure maybe there are people whose family never got behind them, but for those of you who may be applying to come and whose family right now isn't supporting them, I say if it's what you really want to do and you know it's what you want to do, persevere with it, because you don't want to live a life filled with what ifs. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And if my story, I guess, encourages anyone, then I'm very happy about that. So yeah, I'm not mad at my mother. I love my mum to bits. She's my mum. But we African women, we are headstrong. So obviously we butt heads. But yes, that is my experience, you guys. So let me know what you guys think. If any of you have had anything similar, let's all be a support system. So that was that. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my story. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.